Welcome everyone and thank you for joining us today in our InfoSec seminar organized by the Information Systems, Security and Assurance Management Department in Mahalshan School of Management. We begin our June InfoSec seminar by acknowledging that although this seminar is being held virtually, Concordia University of Edmonton is located on Treaty 6 territory and a traditional meeting ground and home for many indigenous peoples, including Cree, Salto, Blackfoot, Métis, and Nakota Sioux peoples. We respect and acknowledge this. We are pleased to welcome Dr. Sharif Al-Barrad, the Dean of Management, who have joined us today for this great InfoSec seminar. In this seminar, we are pleased to have Parul Khanna to give us an interesting talk about AI-powered social engineering and how to defend against it. Parul Khanna is a seasoned cybersecurity professional and instructor with expertise in risk management, incident response, cloud security, and software engineering. She holds a master's in information systems security management from Concordia University of Edmonton and certifications including CISSP, ISSAP, CCSP, CSSLP, CISA, CISM, CRISC, CDBSE, and CCSK. Parul has worked in the Cybersecurity Operations Center for a major Canadian bank and is a subject matter expert in risk assessment and security controls. She has published research on doxing, served on the ISC Square Toronto chapter board, and teaches cybersecurity at York University. A committed mentor and active woman in cybersecurity volunteer, she is also a frequent speaker at industry conferences. Thanks, Parul, for being with us today and sharing your experience with our audience. Just one quick note. During the presentation, microphones will be turned off to avoid interrupting the speaker. At the end, we will have 10 to 15 minutes for questions and microphones will be turned back on. Please limit yourself to one question to give opportunity to other participants to ask. If we have enough time, please feel free to re-ask again. And at the end, I will share the registration and feedback form with you. So please ensure you provide your name and the email address and the brief feedback so we can send your certificate of attendance. Thank you. So it's all yours now, Parul.
Yes, thank you, Professor Eslam, for the warm introduction, and thank you, Professor Sean, for giving me this opportunity to present before the crowd on this interesting topic. So AI-powered social engineering and how to defend against it. We'll be going through exactly like some of the social engineering tactics and how AI has enhanced those, like what role does AI plays in making sure that these particular tactics are like real and the victims like they fall prey to it. We'll also be diving into a bit of case studies and the real incidents, and then going into the human psychology as well as some of the red flags. For example, some of these tactics and emails, they come through with a sense of urgency, they come with a sense of like, you have to do it immediately, etc. So we'll go through into like some of these. And then in the end, we'll cover the detection and mitigation strategies related to how we can better prevent or prepare ourselves against these AI-powered social engineering attacks. There would be the end conclusion will be for the final takeaways. We'll summarize some of the key insights and takeaways from this session today. So yeah, I'll be taking the questions in the end and just diving right into the topic today. Just a brief overview of what exactly is social engineering. So it's the act of basically like tricking someone into giving their personal information, their sensitive information, their credit card information. And this could be exactly through a variety of tactics, such as your phishing, your pretexting, so your spear phishing, like sending them an email, sending them targeted emails, etc. Now, where the role of artificial intelligence has come into play in enhancing these attacks is the AI has made it more surreal. And this is the reason, this is because like it's possible to copy the domains, like typo squat the domains, generate like very similar domains. For example, if there is a like legit domain like Microsoft.com, it's very much possible to have a typo squatted domain that looks very, very similar to Microsoft.com. And this is because of the AI. AI can help predict like the language or the body of the email. And in very similar cases, it's possible to generate an email that looks like exact replica and copy of that. So AI is also able to get the information like using the scrapers. Like everyone is on social media these days. So it's able to identify patterns, like what kind of targeted attacks to launch for. So this is where like you are able to target individuals or send personalized attacks. And also if you would want to send an attack like in bulk, for example, like a mass email or mass phishing email to a number of employees working within an organization, your artificial intelligence is able to do that. So this is how you're from a traditional phishing, like from a traditional social engineering attack, your AI has enhanced it, and it's in the form of just making sure that this particular attack looks real. Even if, for example, if you're talking to like chatbots, the chatbots, they can mimic the human sound, they can mimic the human voice, and it makes it so real that you are bound to think that you're talking to an actual human being on the other end, whereas it's just a chatbot and that they're able to solicit your personal information. Even for the deepfakes. So what exactly are deepfakes? These are the fake generated any of the video, texts, or audio that are tricked and that actually trick the humans into giving their personal information. So creating or doing some kind of like false activity. So yeah, deepfake, these audios and videos, they convincingly replicate the real individuals. And yeah, this is where we need to train the humans, like how to exactly we need to distinguish if this is a deepfake or if this is a something which isn't real. AI generated texts, these enhance the believability. So for example, it is very much possible to copy and replicate an individual's writing style and to make it pretend that yes, it's coming from a legit individual, whereas in cases it could be just a AI launched spear phishing attack. And then automated reconnaissance, because everything is available on the internet and it's very much possible to solicit all the information and know that, for example, if as an attacker I'm working, I can go, I can do like reconnaissance over the internet and make sure that, and do my due diligence and ensure which are the people working in the HR department, which are the people working in the finance department, who are the third party target these. So this is where it really helps me to launch those attacks and then target these individuals, because humans are the weakest link. So that's where the role of AI comes into play. So just diving into some of the AI-powered social engineering attacks. So phishing being the first one. Again, for the phishing, definitely it's a spoof domain, and the sender makes it like the body of the email. Because of the AI, it makes it look like so real that you are bound to trick, like without second thoughts, that this is a very legit email. So I have a screenshot here, for example, an email coming from Netflix saying that your payment has failed, or you try again later, or for example, you have won a gift card. So this is another email, like that could be like a targeted phishing one. Or if someone is just randomly searching for a trip, like trying to book a trip, there could be a targeted phishing email towards that individual saying that you have a discount, like with the so-and-so airline, so click to avail your discount. So that individual is tricked into clicking that link and then further divulging their information, or like credentials, or like any other sensitive information such as related to your credit cards. So that's how the phishing works, and it could also trick the individuals into downloading any particular file that consists of, like malware, or visiting any other link that has been compromised. But the agenda overall, the goal is that their sensitive information will be compromised. That's the ultimate goal. So how AI has enhanced these phishing attacks is, this is because the body of the email, the reconnaissance, like where exactly the individual, what are some of the personalized interests of the individual. So this is where AI comes into picture and helps launching those personalized attacks, and then those emails which look exactly like the copy. These are some other examples. For example, this is an email like from the Citibank. Again, this particular domain, it's not like a legit domain, but it's like very much the customer is bound to think that there has been a suspicious activity and is going to click on the link without actually verifying that this is a legit email or not. So we will go into like what are some of the defending strategies there. And on the right side, it's again like something from the Office 365 saying that, if you wish to continue, your account might be closed. And if you want to continue with the services, please update your account. So the individual, without even looking into what the sender email address is or what the particular link is, or even if the particular link is like legit, is bound to just click and then further get their information. So these are some of the ways in which the phishing attacks happen. Could be in the form of gift cards as well, could be in the form of like discount codes. And this is like happening a lot, especially with folks working in the financial institutions. They are like targeted a lot of times. Even it's possible, like if there's an organization that's dealing with third party, like vendors, different vendors. So someone might just impersonate like one of these vendors and then launch a phishing attack to the organization saying like, we are a valid, legit vendor and we are organizing like a hockey campaign or like a golf tournament and the employees are invited. So the employees are like bound to click on that. So this is where it's increasingly becoming more targeted and more common. And how do the attackers or the malicious people know about it? It's all through that AI and all through that reconnaissance, because these are tools available, and we'll dive a bit into those tools. So if we talk about like defending against the AI phishing, so AI email filters, this is one approach towards making sure or preventing those emails reaching your email gateway or being delivered to the employees. Now, when I talk about AI email filters, it is very much possible to detect like if there is a sense of urgency, if there is a sense of like immediate or an urgent request or a response that is needed. So that is particularly like a red flag. If there is anomaly, for example, like if you would want to like call a particular telephone number and the telephone number has been manipulated as part of the fake generated email, so your email filters are able to catch that. So this is again something which is available as part of your email security settings. It comes in the form of advanced security settings, but if there is an email which is an exact replica, but just the like the helpline email or the helpline number has been tweaked, your email filter will be able to catch that. If there is a URL that the email filter does not recognize, but that has been embedded, it should be able to catch that. If there is an attachment that the email filter is unable to scan or unable to verify, or that attachment has particularly like some different extension, your email filter will be able to catch it and it won't be delivered to the employees in that case. SPF and DKIM, these are two, and then DMARC as well. So these are three other email security settings which are quite essential. All of these three email security settings, they help to tighten the email security controls, meaning if all these three settings are a legit pass, then only your email is going to get delivered. For any of the email that has been spoofed, fakely generated, contains a malicious URL, or maybe like even a fake attachment, one of these settings is going to be a clear fail or blank. So in that case, your particular email, like your tool that you are using, it should actually not allow the email to be delivered to the employee. It should just quarantine it, and then further, like the cybersecurity team or whosoever is monitoring that particular tool should be able to like release it on a manual basis if this email is justified. So this is again, there is a good emphasis to tighten the email security settings, and your sender policy framework and then domain keys identified mail are two of these settings. Phishing simulations is a must, and these should be adaptive. When I say adaptive, as the trends are changing, like as there's a lot of attacks being launched, like for the like golf tournaments and like to trick employees into attending, maybe like the hockey clubs, etc. So these should be like on the regular basis, and employees should be aware what the teachable moments are, what are the things to look for, if this is a spoofed domain, if there is a sense of urgency, if there is a grammatical error, or if there is a malicious hyperlink, or if there is an attachment that they are not aware of. So those are things to look for. And then finally, the report tool, so which is available readily available in the Outlook, like report and email suspicious. Your tools should be integrated. Your email security tool should be integrated so as to train itself. Like once something is reported suspicious, the email security, like your tool, it should not allow that email to further cross that email gateway. So if like more people have reported it suspicious. So those are some defending strategies that we can adopt. However, I would like to emphasize that security awareness plays its own part, where the employees should at least like before clicking any link or before opening any attachment, should review if this is an expected email. And if not, then just reach out to the corresponding like cybersecurity team or department to verify it. So moving on, phishing is another form of attack that has been widely, like it has gained progress. What it implies is that that your AI can generate QR codes, and then these QR codes can trick the users into going into malicious websites, which harvests their credentials. So that's where exactly your question comes into picture. So phishing uses malicious QR codes to trick the users into visiting fake websites, often disguised as login portals or updates. And then how AI actually plays its part there is, it can definitely generate like dynamic QR code generation, contextual targeting. So for example, depending upon where exactly the user is located or what exactly they're up to, these QR codes can be generated to actually launch those personalized attacks. Polished fake sites, so AI-generated phishing pages mirror real login portals with high fidelity, increasing deception. You can you can create an exact replica of a web page, and your user is tricked into giving that particular information once they scan the QR code. Automated campaigns, so AI-driven bots, they distribute the QR codes via the emails, posters, or SMS at scales, adapting content to bypass the filters. So again, this is something which is very easily scalable and possible with AI. That is like mass distribution, sending out bulk, either in the form of emails, like containing those QR codes, or in the form of like text, etc. So if we talk about like some of the defending strategies against phishing attacks, so always make sure that you are not scanning something like any QR code which is not expected or not anticipated, especially like being cautious about it. And even like despite like if you have scanned something by mistake, not to give or not to divulge your personal or sensitive informations, right? Like without even actually verifying. Go to the legit site, and from there you can go into the login and further like get to it. Mobile device management, this is again an actively used methodology or approach that restricts the scanning of the QR codes that direct to unverified domains as well. So another approach that could be used. Browser isolation, like if you have a QR code that is directed to a malicious website, you could implement browser isolation across your endpoint devices, meaning that even once you open that particular particular link, there is no damage being done because it's like sandboxed, it's isolated. Endpoint protection, so deploy mobile security apps that can scan and flag malicious URLs behind those QR codes. Again, something actively used. If you are using BYOD, like bringing your own device into the organization infrastructure, and then implement AI-based link analysis tools to detect phishing behavior in landing pages. So if I was to summarize this, just beware of what you scan and never ever divulge any of your sensitive credentials or anything that you have scanned. Because this could be a very well like a mirror website or like a malicious link or the damage. So make sure that you have proactive before actually scanning anything. The next one that we have is business email compromise. Again, we have seen this happening a lot. So what exactly and how it impacts organization with like business email compromises? Supposedly that an organization is dealing with multiple third parties as well as vendors and contractors. Now, if one vendor has been compromised and that particular vendor is now dealing with this particular organization, there is a payment, there is an invoice that is happened to take place. The organization doesn't know that that particular vendor has been compromised. So this is a clear-cut example of a business email compromise. The vendor forces or asks for or changes the payment information, sends an updated invoice, and as such, now because once the email has been compromised from the vendor end, that particular malicious imposter, like malicious hacker, they have access to all the email history. So they know what kind of payment is expected, what is the bank account information, and they have everything. So this is an example of business email compromise. It could happen like the employee clicked on a phishing link, employee fell prey to a phishing attack, employee divulged their sensitive information over a malicious website. So a number of places like where it can help, where they can actually compromise the third party or the vendors. And this is actually seen like in my most recent role, I have seen that happening like twice, the business email compromise. So happening like with the third parties and the vendors. So yeah, this is like also very predominant. Some red flags to look for is that because now the hacker has got access to the vendor email, the vendor sensitive information, they impose a sense of urgency saying that we need to do this ASAP, we need to update the payment information, there need to be a transaction done, and by so and so date, they usually give a deadline. And because the other person, like the employee within the organization, is not aware that the other side email has been compromised, they are tricked into, updating that information or going for that particular transaction. So yeah, this is again one common business email compromise. Different phases for a business email compromise. Again, I think the first one that's should be that the vendor exactly is targeted. Their credentials are compromised, so either in the form of a social engineering attack, phishing, or phishing, and then further from there on, the hacker does their own reconnaissance to see like what other departments they could target, what other organizations they could target, or what other clients they could target, and based off on that, they make sure that they use or leverage the AI tools to ensure that the particular like the language is exactly the same as the other person who was corresponding legit manner, and there is no like grammatical error, and it looks as if like the person is just legitimately communicating, whereas it's the imposter or the hacker who's actually communicating. Most of the time, the objective or the goal of such an attack is to like gain something, like in terms of the financial money, like tarnish the reputation, or just get access to any sensitive information such as your PII, credit card information, and then further inflict damage on the basis of that. So a couple of ways into how exactly do we spot the business email compromise scams. So as we see, this particular like typo squatted domain is one of the most common. And then secondly, like this is, so when I say like typo squatted, a domain which is very similar to the original domain, but there is a spelling mistake or there is a like a certain like a word variation or an alphabet variation in there. Then there is a sense of urgency that is imposed that you have to do it before this deadline, this date. In my past experience where I have dealt with 2 business email compromises, both of them had a deadline associated before end of the Friday. And this was sounded as like a super rush request, like a super urgent request. And obviously there is a financial request, like because the ultimate objective is to get the financial money. So there is a financial thing involved and it's very legit, right? So those are some of the signs and things to look for the business email compromise. So the lessons learned, I would say, like how exactly do we defend against the business email compromise? So I'll happily like share these slides with Professor, and then we can share it with the rest of the team as well. But these are like some of the examples But yeah, just going into what exactly are some of the defending strategies against business email compromise attacks. So trust, like there's, if I was to just summarize it, like trust but verify. If there is a financial request over a particular email, if you are forced into a particular transaction, always call that particular employee or the person or the third party or the vendor that you are dealing with to verify that. Even if it's as simple as you need to be that we have changed the account information and you need to update the account, call the bank to verify that. So call, like follow the process, like always have that second step authentication or second factor in authentication in place to verify the things, right? Label the external emails. So yeah, that's another method. If there is something which you're not expecting, so clearly have them tagged as external. Verify the communications before taking action, especially if there is a financial transaction, if there is a change in the invoice, if there is a request to update your account information or change the payment route, like payment method. So those are some things. And when you are dealing with any of the third parties, just have those due diligence steps in place to ensure that there is multi-factor authentication set up at their end as well, so that it's not like every day that their employees or the third parties, vendors or contractors, they're getting compromised. Use a secure email gateway. So any emails that are being exchanged, these are using the secure email gateway. Like the data is encrypted in transit, TLS 1.3. And then so that the attacker is not able to intercept and get to it. Implement zero trust architecture. So we will dive a bit into it. I have one of the slides covered like for the zero trust architecture. Conduct frequent audits and reviews, and then use AI and machine learning for detection. So for the business email compromise, yeah, there are multiple steps that you can use. Firstly, like coach the employees that if they are taking any action, payment action, trust but verify always, call the bank, etc. Tighten your email security settings if there is a domain that has been recently created, or if there is something which is a sense of urgency, or if there's something which is an anomaly, your email should be able to flag it. So those are some proactive steps that you can take to prevent against business email compromise. The next one that we have is your deepfakes. Again, for the deepfakes, so these are the AI-generated videos, images, or audios, and designed with the purpose to deceive. For example, there could be like an AI-generated audio, and like it tricks the employees or tricks the users into doing a particular action. And the good thing, the thing about these deepfakes is that these are so exact, like replica or copy of the original, that it just makes it like it's very hard to distinguish, like if this is a deepfake or if this is actually like a real instruction which is coming from an executive or so. It can replicate the voice, tone, speech patterns, facial expressions, and gestures, and the attackers generate realistic fake instructions and then makes the fraudulent request becomes more believable and then harder to detect. So this is what it's been going around. Now, if we were to defend against like these deepfake attacks, so employee awareness training is one. And when I say employee awareness training, if we were to look at a video like very closely, which is a deep fake, there could be idle gestures, such as the video is too perfect, the voice is like having a very smooth tone to it without any breaks. There is like very uniform, like the blinking pattern is very constant or same, like after 2 seconds, the person is like blinking, which is like not usually the case in idle scenario, or even like the syncing of the lips. So those are some of the variations that to look for in an idle in a perfect deepfake video. Remember, we should remember that deepfake videos, audios, like these are perfect, like these are generated using AI. So these are perfect. Whereas when we compare it with the actual humans, like the actual human video, the humans, like they're intended to have like a different pattern. Like the voice is not always like it's a smooth flow. Even the blinking pattern of the eyes differ, even like the lip syncing. So those are some minute details and variations to focus on. So voice and video verification protocols always confirm sensitive requests via secondary channels, use liveness detection tools, for example, leverage biometric tools that detect blinking, your skin texture, your response delay to spot the fake videos. Even I have seen that if the lightings in a particular video are too perfect, no variation, or if the person is like just talking, like in a perfect manner, that's also another sign that the video has been fakely generated. Limit public exposure of executive media. This is also important because a lot of these deepfakes are trained on the basis of what's available in the internet, what's available publicly, and on the basis of those, these are created. For example, if there's a deepfake video for an executive that is being created, it could be very well the case that the video has been trained on a multiple of real-time videos which are available over the internet for that executive, and on the basis of that, that video has been created. And last but not the least, implement multi-factor authentication. So that prevent unauthorized access, even if voice video deepfake tricks someone into sharing the credentials. So that's your like defense in depth right there. The next set of attacks that we have for the social engineering is the adversarial artificial intelligence and machine learning. So a lot of times, like the models that are being trained to give the outputs, such as ChatGPT, these are trained on a large amounts of data. If this data is biased, if this data is manipulated, or if someone is able to like go and launch like a SQL injection attack, so that particular, like those are some of the attacks which are related to your adversarial artificial intelligence and machine learning. So malicious manipulation of AI ML systems to reduce the accuracy or disrupt the performance, and it could be in a variety of ways, such as injecting fake, misleading data into the training sets, altering the input data slightly to trick the model into misclassifying, and then unauthorized changes to a model structure or parameters to degrade the output quality. I have included a slide in the appendix. So that one is for the retrieval augmented generation. It gives a case study and overview of a RAG architecture as well as to how we can compromise a RAG architecture. What are some of the defense strategies to adopt there? Yeah, this is like one of the case studies where medical chatbot, where a chatbot is being actively used, and there are a number of ways in which this whole thing could be compromised. If we were to look at like the data that is coming, if someone has control over this data, if the data is biased, if the personal information or the patient health information is not encrypted here, definitely the chatbot can spit out that sensitive content or the output. So, and the mechanism, like how it works, is like detailed, like it's like a lot of things happen underneath, like behind the scenes, and each of these different attack, like each of these constitutes a different attack surface and can be compromised. And at any point, even if like one is compromised, your output is inaccurate or biased as well. So yeah, defending against the adversarial AI ML attacks. So use the trusted data sets and validate input data to prevent the poisoning. Test the model. Make sure that you are testing it against any of the negative inputs as well, making sure that it's not giving any unsolicited or like any output that contains sensitive information. Deploy anomaly detection tools to monitor for sudden output changes, and then train teams on adversarial threats and secure the AI development practices. So in a sense, if you are leveraging any third-party AI tool, for example, such as Microsoft Copilot, or even, for example, GitHub Copilot, make sure that you have read across their data privacy policies, the data retention policies. You have your own private tenant, and make sure that any of the, for example, if HR comes and uploads people's like PII, their salaries, their sensitive information, that information is not being trained to use the AI model further, and that information is not accessible by any other across the HR or across any other departments as well. So those are some considerations when we are trying to leverage any third party or integrating any third party AI tools. So this is where like the training of the data, controlling the input data set, data retentions, and then data privacy comes into play. So there is one more attack that has been gaining predominance, and this was discovered last year, early of 2024. So these are the click fix attacks, and there has been a good number of documentations which are available at the government websites on this. Now, how usually a click fix attack works is the website or the website that the individual is going to, that website has been compromised. So when I say compromised, there is usually like a JavaScript that has been installed. And once the user goes on that website, the user unknowingly does not realize that the website has been compromised because there's no indication. However, as a result of that compromise, the website gives a pop-up saying, you need to go and install like this particular, you need to run this command within the command prompt, or go and install this particular file in order to proceed. So I'll give you like snapshots of how exactly ClickFix attack works. But in a sense, the website is compromised, the user goes there and is tricked into doing actions that helps to compromise, or that further like compromises the user's system. So in a way, the user is acting as their own hacker, right? Because unintentionally and not being aware, they are doing actions that is further leading them to compromise their own systems. So this is where the click fix attacks have gained predominance. Again, it targets a broad sector of people, not necessarily like organizations, not necessarily financial institutions, but if you are just going on a website that has been compromised, you very well chances that you could fall prey to it. Some of the snippets like related to a click fix attacks looks like this. For example, something went wrong while displaying the web page, and now there is a bunch of steps that the user is prompted to do, like click the copy fix, right click on the Windows icon, select the Windows PowerShell, and then right click. Now, all these actions, like in essence, is helping the user to compromise their own system. So that's what these actions are. So similarly, if there is a pop-up saying like fix it, so that's why this particular attack has been named as like click fix. And then there is like some like verification steps. So those are also further, it helps to compromise those systems. Now, the defense against like for the click fix, so because the website has been compromised, right? So there are signs to look for, like if you get a pop-up saying, do this, install this extension, so like do a particular number of like steps before actually proceeding. So those are some of the steps, those are some of the red flags to look for. And again, if we talk about the whole of like social engineering holistically, urgency and fear are common red flags, most important red flags to look for. Something is like you have to do a request immediately, ASAP, there is a deadline, there is a malicious URL, authority and empathy. So impersonation of trusted figures, using emotionally compelling requests. And for example, I'm nowhere near my laptop and I have this request. Could you just send an email, or could you update this account information? Curiosity, so suspicious links or attachments promising unexpected news or rewards. Gift cards is a very good example, like a free coffee kit, or maybe like another golf tournament, hockey tournament, like free tickets, like those are another examples. Odd sender details, so email addresses or domains that look slightly off or unfamiliar. So this is where typo-squatted domains comes into picture. If a domain has been newly created, you should have email security settings that should block that domain right away. Like there is no reason that a domain that has been created 7 days back, it should be sending you emails, right? So that's another sign to look for. So you should be able to work around your email security tools in order to upgrade it, in order to fine tune it. Inconsistencies like grammatical error mistakes, tone mismatches, unusual formatting are another signs. And then, yeah, so that's how like some of these attacks get triggered, like a combination of these parameters or like individual any of these. And this is where the training the employees comes into picture, like it plays a big, big part. We kind of like touched upon these, some of the tools which are used in the social engineering attacks, like your chat GPT, generative adversarial networks, voice cloning tools, scraping bots. All of these help to enhance your AI-powered social engineering attacks as well. Now, if we come to like some of the defense strategies, like mitigation techniques, so defense by depth is the ultimate, and then security awareness amongst your employees, being more proactive, like how to exactly spot suspicious emails. Those are some of the other things. So AI-powered email and threat detection. So yes, fine-tuning your email security tool, SPF, DKI, and DMARC settings. If there are anomalies, if there is a file that is extension is not recognized, if there is a sense of urgency, your email security tools should be able to detect that. So that way, the email does not reach the employees. Deepfake and voice synthesis detection. This is where you need to focus. You need to coach the users and the employees. If a video looks too perfect, if there is like a sync within the blinking pattern, or like any other like thing which makes the video look too perfect, that is a sign to watch for that. Yes, it could be a deep fake. Zero trust architecture is predominantly like it's been very much, and its role is very much like in importance. So the idea or the philosophy with zero trust architecture is that if something is not recognized, if an authentication is not recognized, then make sure that you have a second step in place. There is a second factor authentication in place. So it's the concept like with behind your trust but verify. So it's the continuous identity validation even after the post authentication. So making sure that you have the legit user who's actually logging in, and it combines various other approaches such as your least privilege, your segmentation of the networks, like segmentation between the trusted versus the untrusted zones. So that overall, like in a sense, reduces your blast radius. And then adaptive MFA is another one. So for example, if there is a user who's logging in from another country or outside the 9 to 5, then for sure this adaptive authentication or the risk-based authentication kicks in, and it challenges the user for a second factor authentication right there. So this is just another holistic overview of like our defense in depth. So like faster detections, your network security controls in place, with the phishing detections, your email security controls in place, adaptive authentication, behavior-based anomaly detections, and then vulnerability management, making sure that your systems are always up to date. If there is a vulnerability, like a legacy vulnerability that cannot be remediated because of legacy infrastructure, making sure that compensating controls are in place instead of that. So last but not the least, so human firewall is definitely, it's of paramount importance. And what we mean by it is humans are the weakest link. So you would have to coach your employees, your users, how to proactively detect or spot any of the AI-powered social engineering attacks. And how this can happen is through the form of trainings, cybersecurity trainings, and these should be very periodic, not like once in a year, like once annually. No, these should happen like monthly. Your phishing simulations are a big part of it, and these help employees know that what is real and what's not real. Employees which fail the phishing simulation should go under like training, like should be auto enrolled in trainings as well. So yeah, they are able to get like their teachable moments, etc. So those are some things that we can do proactively, and just it's a form of like the more we share, the more we educate, the more we coach, it's the better defense we are building against like all these different AI powered social engineering attacks. So empower the people with skills to doubt, verify, and then finally report, right? Zero trust architecture, as we mentioned before. So never trust, always verify. So continuously, like even after authentication, it keeps on, verifying that yes, it's the legit resource or the legit user that is logged in. Least privilege as well as segmentation plays a big part in there. So yeah, just making sure that the users have the necessary permissions or the least amount of permissions or access privileges to do their job, as well as the different segments, like the different trust zones within a particular network are segmented so that even if an attacker is able to get to one particular zone, the lateral movement is not possible. Real-time risk scoring and then securing access for all the endpoints or other important parameters under your zero trust architecture. There is a big emphasis for zero trust to implement zero trust architecture across the organizations. For example, if an organization predominantly operates like based in Canada, there is no reason that we should be seeing a login from the other geographies. So that's also part, like it's a subset of like zero trust network access. So there is a growing need to implement, like continuously implement. And then the only challenge we face here is if there are employees working like on a vacation and they want to travel to another country, so we would have to take that exception on a one by one cases, right? So like geo-block everything, only from the country it should be allowed. But other than that, if there are exceptions, so you would have to work with the corresponding teams accordingly on that. And then last but not the least, like having ready incident response planning. So make sure that you cover all the possible scenarios. Your playbooks are comprehensive. Your teams which are responding to these incidents are up to date, like they are aware what the communication plan is, what are the response strategy should look like, what is the mitigation plan that should be there. So, and then tabletop exercises, regular tabletop exercises definitely helps. And in the event of an incident, so which like it happens and it's quite unfortunate, there is always a post-incident analysis of how we can do better or what steps we can take the next time to prepare or better respond more proactively. So in the end, like for the concluding thoughts, and I'm happy to take questions after this. Yes, AI has definitely enhanced or played its part, like in enhancing these social engineering attacks, like as we discussed. But it all comes down to awareness plus combination of defense in depth, like the technical controls, and making sure that our tools are leveraging or the tools are like fine-tuned accordingly, such as those different settings are done so as to make sure that if there is any phishing email, spear phishing email, or any phishing possible like attack, these are blocked like by the tools itself. So it's just a combination of all these, and this is where the defense in depth kicks in, that your employees or the users, there is a security awareness angle to it, and then you have the defense in depth in the form of your technical administrative controls as well. So with this, I'm happy to take up questions if there are any questions in the chat. We still have 10 minutes.
Thanks, Parul, so much for your interesting talk and for all this information. I will turn the mics on now. So the mics are turned on, so please go ahead if you have any questions. And I also, yes, Ibubichi, please go ahead. And just one quick note, please provide your name, email address, and the brief feedback so we can send your certificate of attendance. I shared the link on the chatting box. So go ahead, Ibubichi.
Okay, thank you. I want to appreciate you, Parul, for your presentation. It really highlights and reminds us just how important email security is for organizations, especially since email remains a verified and trusted entry point into them. I would like to get your insight on this question. So, given that SPF and DKIM both rely on proper implementation across all sending domains, how realistic is it to expect full compliance in a complex vendor ecosystem?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And so based off on my experience, usually an organization deals with like many different vendors and many different third parties. Now, we did a recent exercise where we fine-tuned our email security tool. And in order to detect like a couple of things, the first thing was if there is a type of squatted domain that has been recently created, like just maybe 7 days or 10 days back, that domain should not allow, like we should not be allowing any emails from that particular domain to reach our employees. The second step that we did was to strengthen our SPF and DKIM security settings as well. So, which means that both these have to be a yes in order for that email to pass like to the employees or get delivered to the employees. If any of these fails, and it so happens that it's like sometimes even for like legit emails, these settings fail. So then the email gets quarantined, and all we have to do is go, like a cybersecurity professional has to go into the tool, look at that email, verify, run the scans, and make sure that it's fine, and then finally deliver it to the employee. The third step is being more proactive, where we are targeted, where we target the individual departments with the the knowledge about the spear phishing attacks or how these can be launched. For example, with the finance, it's obviously that never ever, like if there's a request to have a transaction done immediately, if there's a request to have an updated invoice, if there is a request to change the account information. So we kind of launched those trainings, like just make sure like you clarify it with the vendor over a call, and make sure you call the number that that's we have in our records and not in the email, because sometimes even the phone number can be manipulated as well. So a combination of these settings, yes, it's very ideal to prevent these attacks, especially if these attacks are likely being launched to majority of the folks within the organization. But again, at the end of the day, it's in our hands, like how much proactive like we can get and how much employee awareness is there, so that we can actually see, or we can actually detect that yes, there is a business email compromise, or this is a phishing attack. I hope that answers the question.
Thanks, Parul. Any more questions? Yes, Sergey, please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I don't know if I should ask this question because the voice will be recorded and then deepfake can be made out of it. But anyway, so Parul, you've been in industry long. So what is your experience with users resisting the training? I mean, they may get tired, they burn out, and they basically don't learn too much. So if you can just share your experience, because I've heard a lot on a different meeting, it's a problem. So just wondering about your experience. Thank you.
Yes, great question, Professor Sorke, and thank you for that. And yeah, quite often we run into hiccups with the users, not doing the trainings or resisting to do those trainings. So it's different with each company. I would say like what our approach was, we understand that sometimes in a blink of an eye, employee clicks an email and this is like a phishing simulation. And then the employee is has to do a bunch of trainings. We give them ample time, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks to complete those trainings. We send them frequent reminders, and we make sure that those trainings are limited, like limit as in like 15-minute, 30-minute, and these are just like to the point, like to, to give them like what the teachable moment is. In the event that the employee is still not abiding, not able to do the training, or does not want to do the training, like after the deadline has passed, we escalate it up the chain. So we bring their manager into the loop to make sure that there is a compliance rate that we have to follow. And this is being tracked effectively across all the departments, how many people have completed the trainings. So, and then this report gets published like in front of the executives every monthly, depending upon how many campaigns that we have launched. So it's a top-down approach, meaning that the leadership is like the senior management knows or is well aware that they have to comply. So yeah, and then finally, when we loop in the senior management, that's how the trainings, like if there is a resistance, the trainings gets done as well. We also have like the office hours, like drop-in hours, or like lunch and learning sessions where we coach the users, employees on, okay, what are some of these steps to take, like do's and don'ts of like these phishing. In case you have clicked a phishing email, what are the immediate steps to take? So that's how we overall have a complete compliance.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. So before we wrap up, I'd like to extend a huge thank you to Parul Khanna for sharing her expertise with us today. We truly appreciate you taking the time to speak with our community. I'm also excited to announce our next special seminar from a visiting professor from Poland, which will take place on Tuesday, June 24, 2025 at 10 a.m. The session will be conducted in person at HA 342 in Q and online as well. So we look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Parul. It was terrific
Thanks,
talk.
Parul. Thanks, professors. Cheers.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.